Hi everyone, welcome to another live ukulele lesson with me, Matt Stead. It's been a while, hasn't it? We had our first Canna back on this Monday, which was an absolute joy. It was so nice to see so many of you again. And now we're back into our fortnightly live lessons. So what I'm going to do is a lesson every fortnight for the coming weeks and months, so we'll be back to our regular schedule basically. Let me know how you're getting on. Make sure you've got your live chat enabled so you can take part and ask questions and join in the community chat. And I think with these live lessons it's really important because sometimes I might have forgotten to tell you about something. Sometimes it sparks an interesting conversation, so don't stay quiet. If you've got any questions at all, just let me know. Remember, you can watch this back at any point as well, so if there's anything you needed to go over again, it's absolutely fine. You can watch it back anytime. You can even make the playback speed a bit slower as well. So I hope you're all keeping well. Hi Kevin, Charlene, hi Karen. Hi Secret Yuka. Oh, that's very exciting. First timer. We've got a newbie, so I'll be nice and kind, I promise. And Lisa as well, Rita and Pam and Laura. Oh, hi guys. Hope you're all doing well. I don't know what it's like where you are, but it's like spring has properly sprung today. So we've got bright sunshine, we've got a warm breeze, which is nice. Haven't seen a butterfly yet, but our flowers are starting to peek through the earth, so that's really nice. So kind of feels like everything's waking up after the winter. Oh, blustery Colorado! Get this. Yeah, thank you. The cruise shown was just wonderful. So many good people, so many smiley faces, beautiful islands, and a lovely cruise. It was fantastic. It was our first cruise, and we didn't know what to expect. So we've both put on about a stone in weight because the food was you're really nice. So that was good. But as Sherry says, hi Sherry, it's really nice to be back as well. So I hope you're all doing well. So today we're going to play a really beautiful tune and quite an unusual one by Cole Porter. And I'm a massive Cole Porter fan. I think he wrote songs in the period of the Great American Songbook, so 20s and 30s, along with other brilliant songwriters such as Jerome Kern, Ira and George Gershwin, all these brilliant songwriters. So we're gonna kind of really dive into this and take our time. Cole Porter's probably one of my favourites of those, which is great. And yeah, he had a really interesting history, actually. It's definitely worth reading into. This one was inspired by his time that he spent in Morocco, apparently. And you can hear kind of an exotic sound in there. We'll talk a little bit about that when we get into the chords, which should be really nice. And it was released in 1933, or at least it was kind of featured in a film in 1933, in a stage production. Which was Fred Astaire's A Gay Divorce. And then interestingly, it came back a year or two later when Fred Astaire joined with Ginger Rogers and they did a beautiful dance to it in The Gay Divorcee, which is almost like a sequel. So really interesting song. Before we get into it, just let me remind you about a couple of small things that are happening. So we're back to our regular Canna Mondays, which is great. So this is going to be every Monday at 6 o'clock where I teach you to play without sheet music. And next week, because you guys are so kind to me and you support me and you keep me going, next week we're going to have a theme of thanks because I'm so thankful to you all for being amazing. Oh, Lisa saw her first butterfly in the park today. I love it. I've not seen one in the UK yet, Lisa, but hopefully, fingers crossed, it won't be too long away. Just to let you know, we've got another live lesson in 2 weeks' time, and I'm quite excited about this one. We're going to look into Nashville numbers and how my Canna nights work. So, when we do our Canna Mondays, we divide pieces of music up into measures, and then we use these Nashville numbers numbering the chords within the scale. And I've produced, it's a bit crazy, but I've got a 24-page book to go with this one, to explain how chords are built and then how all the chord personalities work together. So if you've been taking part in Canacapilla and you find this stuff interesting, or if you've ever wanted to play by ear, or if you just want to understand how music works, come along in 2 weeks' time. Again, if you can't make the session, you can always watch it back later, and you can watch it back as many times as you want. And all my site members get the worksheets for free. You'll find them in your members section. So yeah, take a look at that. So, there we go. When I saw Matt was going to teach comping, I thought we'd learn how to get free meals in restaurants. Is that what it's called, Shell? I don't know. I've never heard of that phrase being used for that, but maybe that's it. And then one other little thing to tell you about, just to tease you, that I've got a new Beatles on ukulele lesson coming up on the course very, very soon. It's all recorded. I just literally need to edit the video down now. And we're going to do a really lovely, simple but beautiful version of She's Leaving Home, which is probably my favourite song off Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. It's just really gorgeous. And we're going to learn how to add lots of dynamics into the piece. So we're going to do some finger picking, some strumming and some muted strums as well, which should be really nice. So come and have a look at that when you've got time. Okay, let's crack on with our lesson today then. So we're going to have a look at Night and Day. And what I'd like to do first of all is just go through what's happening in terms of this song, in terms of the structure and the chords and whatnot. And again, do ask lots of questions as we go along, because it really, really helps. Now, I'm going to come back to this section in a minute, but first of all, I just want to explain this is quite an unusual jazz song for the time. Because, Rebecca's just got a quick question. Will my next lesson be after your change of time? Yeah, it will be, Rebecca. So the next lesson will be an hour. I can't remember whether it's earlier or later. I get a bit confused. But yeah, time will have changed in the UK but by the time we do our next live lesson. So yeah, that's it. And Cheryl said, compensation. Oh, I've got you. I've got you. So yeah, time should have changed before next time. So yeah, back to Night and Day. So it's kind of interesting. So most jazz music at this time followed what we call an A-B format. That just means we have a verse and then a bridge, a verse and then a bridge. Quite often it would be mixed up with, say, A-B. That would be another way of looking at it. And normally jazz music around this time were all 32 measures as well. So that was a really common thing to have 32 measures. But here we've got 48 measures broken down into various sections. And we have what we often call an A-B, A-B, C-B format. Now, all these fancy pants letters, they're not as complex as they sound. Just think of A's as a verse, B's as a chorus, and then C as a bridge or a middle A, and that's what's happening here. So generally, as I say, jazz music at this time was like verse, verse, chorus, verse, chorus. Only this one has verse, chorus, bridge, chorus. So it's starting to kind of mould into what happens with a lot of doo-wop and then into popular music, which I think is quite interesting as well. Oh, there we go. Spring Forward. That's the one. Fantastic. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Leslie. Hope you guys are doing well. So yeah, an interesting structure straight away. And it has some really beautiful, unusual chords. A lot of chromatic movement in this one. And as I say, apparently Cole Porter was inspired from visiting Morocco and seeing lots of Moorish architecture and hearing a Muslim prayer, which has a lot of chromaticism in it. It doesn't tend to follow typically what we would use for our Western scales. So see if you can spot that as we play it, because it's quite interesting. You'll hear that as we go along. Now, let's have a dig into the actual chords themselves. I'll explain a bit about how to play it and show you what's happening, give you some alternatives as well up the fretboard, and then we'll have a look later on at comping, not compensation, shall we'll have a look at how to do what we call a jazz comp, short for accompanying. It's a particular way of strumming and playing, basically. So we can think of this largely as A and B sections to start with, the A section being the verse, the B section being the chorus. So let's have a look at the A sections first. Now, this kind of gives us the key of the music. A lot of people, when they're looking to work out a key, if it's not written out in sheet music with like a sharp or a flat next to the clef, a lot of people look at the first chord. But here, the first chord of the intro, we've got a G sharp diminished seventh. Now, it'd be really unusual to have a diminished chord as the home chord, if you like. So that's kind of a giveaway already that that's not the key. But if we look at the verses, you could think they're in E or D because the lines start with E and end with D. So the way to tell is just have a little play through. Let's just play a couple of chords. I'll go through this in a bit more detail in a minute. So we've got this E minor 7 here, A7 and then a D. Now if I play that through a couple of times with the rough melody, whoever shouts out the key first gets a gold star, all right? And the key will be whichever chord this feels rested on. Is it the E, is it the A, or is it the D? Da da da, da 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 da, da da da, dee 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 dee, da 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 da. Which chord of those three chords do you guys think it feels most rested on? Because when a song rests on a chord, we can pretty much guess that that's the tonic, that's the one chord. We always have a bit of a delay for questions and answers coming through, so I'll just play it one more time. Da da da, da 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 da, da da dee 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 dee, da 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 da. Yeah, and if by magic everyone's saying the same thing. Well done, guys. I think Robin gets the award. She was just narrowly beat Karen and Kevin to it there, I think. Yeah, you've all got it right. It's D. It feels rested when it gets to that D chord, doesn't it? Which is the kind of sign that it's a tonic. So this one's in the key of D and specifically D major. So we know we're in the key of D. So that kind of also gives away something else really cool. It shows that we've got a really common chord progression here. Because if we count up from D, D being our one chord, E is going to be 2, right? And that's the first chord, isn't it, at the start of that line? And A is going to be 5, D, E, F sharp, G, A. So A is the 5th chord. So what we have going on here, and well done, guys. Yeah, isn't it gorgeous? It's gorgeous, Rita. I love this song. So what we have going on here is a classic 2, 5, 1. And you can often spot a 2, 5, 1 because the 2 tends to be a type of minor chord. The 5, the one in the middle, tends to be a type of dominant chord. So that just means a chord with a number after it without major or minor. So like A7, D7, you know, depending on what key you're in. And then the 1 chord in a major song would be a major chord. So there's a giveaway. If you ever want to spot that chord combination, you can see we've got 2, 5, 1. Now, generally, the minor chord at the start in a major 2, 5, 1 would be played as a minor 7, so like an E minor 7, which looks like this. Okay. It's a lovely chord in E minor 7. You'll see it at the start of the second line of the intro here. We'll have a look at that in a minute. It's really beautiful. And if we think about what makes up an E minor chord, let's just do our traditional one. We've got an E note here on the C string. We've got a G note here on the E string. And we've got this B note here. And finally an A note up here. Oh, that's repeating, sorry, G note up there is repeating this one. Sorry, I had a daft moment then. So we've got E, G, and B. So that's what makes an E minor. Now, an E minor 7, we add the 7th note in the key of E, and you could just count up on your hands. E, F, G, A, B, C. So we need to add a C. Hang on, have I done that right? F, G, A, B, C, D. I didn't count far enough. It's a D note. So when we do this E minor 7, we've got this lovely D note added here as well. We've still got the E because now we've got the E here in this open string. Okay. And we've still got the G up here. We've still got the B. But we've also got this D note added, which gives it a lovely minor 7th quality. So generally a 2-5-1 in the key of D would be E minor 7, A7 and D. But Cole Porter changes it to a minor 7 flat 5. Again, one of those chord names you think, that's a ridiculous sounding chord name. What the heck does that mean, right? But it's kind of just take things as like building chords one step at a time. If you know, this is E minor, this is E minor 7 because it has the 7th note D in it. Well, an E minor 7 flat 5 will be the same as E minor 7th, only the 5th note will be flatted. What's the 5th note? E, F, G, A, B. Where's the B note? It's this one. So to play an E minor 7 flat 5, we just take it down to B flat. So E minor 7, E minor 7 flat 5. And that's all it means. It's sometimes referred to as a half diminished chord. But here we'll just think of it as like a type of E minor chord where the 5th has been flattened. And that's really lovely because what Cole Porter's doing there, which is clever, is that the B flat note leads beautifully into the A note of the A7 that follows. And it does have that kind of exotic sound, doesn't it? Which is gorgeous. So all we're going to do is 2 measures of this one, 2 measures of A7. Sorry, I'm being really daft. I need to put my brain in today. I think my brain is still halfway along the Caribbean Sea somewhere. I'll say that again. 1 measure of E minor 7 flat 5, 1 measure of A7, and then 2 of D. Okay. Any strum pattern we'll do in a minute for now, because I'm going to show you another one in a minute. Let's do that twice, and I'll stay on close cam, but let me just bring up the lyrics so that I can sing that for you, and we'll just do a verse, just to give it a try. So we'll do it just with the chords first, then I'll do it with the lyrics. 1, 2, 3, 4. A7, you can just move that one back. And D. And again. Hi Susan. We go again. E minor 7, flat 5. Whoops! I'll do that again. I got distracted. A7. Sorry guys. And D. Isn't that lovely? Let's try it with the words. Night and day, you are the one. Only you, neath the moon or under the sun. Isn't that gorgeous? A really simple 2-5-1. But by flattening that note in the E minor, it just has that really exotic sound, almost like a touch of sadness in it, which is really, really beautiful. No worries, Susan. Don't worry, you can always catch up later, but we're only going through the chords in a verse. You haven't missed a lot, just me nerding out over jazz stuff. So welcome, Susan. Now, this next bit is really tough, and I talked a lot about this on the cruise, and I've talked a lot about this in my lessons as well. A lot of these chords and techniques, they take a lot of practice to get, so be really gentle with yourself. Don't worry if they sound a little bit chucky and buzzy at the moment. I'll give you some help. I'll give you some pointers to help kind of alleviate that, if you like. But let's just have a look at what's happening in terms of what these chords are. What makes this section so interesting is we have what we often call chromatic movement. So rather than having kind of common chord progressions like 1, 6, 2, 5, 2, 5, 1, 1, 4, 5, all that stuff, we've got chords that just go down in pitch half a step at a time. So if we have a look at this first line here, look, G sharp is half a step or 1 fret above G, right? And G is half a step or 1 fret above F sharp. F sharp is 1 step, half a step or 1 fret above F. And then we go to E, which again, because there's no E sharp, is half a step down. And we can actually see that on our ukes. Let's play it as notes. We can play a G sharp up here on the 4th fret of the E string, like so. We can play a G here on the 3rd fret. F sharp here, an F here, and an E. So if we think of this as notes rather than chords, notice that they're literally going down half a step, or 1 chromatic movement we call it, at a time, which is really beautiful. So it's kind of creating this kind of almost like a falling feeling, which is really, really a gorgeous way to start a song. So let me show you how to play these chords. The first one is a G sharp diminished 7. Diminished 7s are often used in a similar way to dominant chords to create a sense of movement, and that's what we've got going on here. So what we're going to do for this one is we're going to bar the whole of the 4th fret. Okay, you might not be able to see it on screen, but there's a tiny, tiny, tiny number 4 next to the bar on this chord. See if you can spot it, which means we're going to bar the 4th fret. Then we're going to put our 2nd finger down here, just like so. Now, a lot of you will know this chord shape as like a D7. And it's like a D7 that's been moved up. So if you can play your D7, you're most of the way there to playing this diminished 7. What we're going to do then is we're going to take this finger here and we're going to place it here on the 6th fret of the C string, like so. Okay, there we go. Well done, Karen, you got it, D. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so that gives us our really nice G sharp diminished 7. Okay, like so. Then you've got 2 options for the next chord. You can either keep the bar down and move it to the 3rd fret, then take your last 2 fingers and put them on the 5th fret of the C string and the A string, like so. As you do that, try and keep this wrist straight. That's going to be really important. And that gives you your diminished, your sort of minor 7th chord. Let me see if I can see if you can see that. You might find that, notice I have to tip my index finger slightly, so just to accommodate these 2 fingers to get them in. But it is doable. However, what I prefer is to actually just do a 4-finger version like this. The way I think about it is it's another type of D7 chord. You know how we can do a D7 chord like this, like we just moved up there? Well, you can also play a D7 like this, right? I want you to take that shape up to the 3rd fret, so 1 fret higher, and then fill in the open strings over here. It's a real stretch, but you can do it with a bit of practice. I'll give you some help with stretches in just a minute, okay? That's our G minor 7, a really beautiful sounding chord. Now I find personally that I can get a much clearer sounding chord if I use 4 fingers when I do this version with the bar, just because I've got very small fingers. Sometimes there's one I get a not very clear note, so I like the 4-finger version. It takes a while to practice that stretching. And then for the F sharp minor 7 that follows, we just pull that back. It just comes back chromatically like so. And then finally we come all the way back here to an F diminished 7, like so. Okay, so I'll do that again. So we've got G sharp half diminished. Then we go to a G minor 7. Then we go to this 1 fret back, F sharp minor 7, and then close your fingers up. And we get this lovely diminished seventh. Do you hear that kind of falling feeling? It's really beautiful, isn't it? So yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Rebecca. That's absolutely fantastic. Well spotted. That's a really great way of explaining it. This is why I love you guys asking questions, because sometimes you notice things that I hadn't. That's really great, Rebecca. So yeah, what Rebecca's saying is, if you have a look, the minor 7 flat 5 that we did at the start, so the first chord of the A section, do you remember it looked like this? Okay. Try doing exactly the same chord, but use your middle 2 fingers like so. So you're not allowed to use that index. Okay. Now don't worry about how this sounds for now, but just move those fingers up and bar the first fret. Well, that must be an F minor 7 flat 5. If this is E minor 7 flat 5, this must be F, right? Because it's one higher. This must be F sharp minor 7 flat 5. And this must be G minor 7 flat 5. And G sharp minor 7 flat 5. And when we get up here, that's the chord that we're playing at the start of the intro, isn't it? Well, that's no coincidence. I've written them out differently, but they're exactly the same chords, and that's part of the reason for doing it. We want you to be able to see that these can be written differently. So if you ever get a circle in front of a 7, that means a diminished 7. If you ever get a circle that's got a diagonal line through it, it means a half diminished. And a half diminished is exactly the same chord as a minor 7 flat 5. It's just another way of saying it, basically. The reason I've had to do the symbol up there rather than the letters like here is that there literally wasn't room enough to write minor 7 flat 5. And that's the reason you see it abbreviated to that circle with the half going through. But Rebecca's absolutely right. They're literally the same chord. It's minor 7 flat 5, just taken up until it becomes a G sharp minor 7 flat 5. Well done, Rebecca. Really well noticed. So let's give that a try. We're going to do 4 of these. 4 of these. That's going to take a lot of practice to do that change. 4 of these, just same chord, one back. 4 of these, squish them together. And then the nice thing about the next bit is that for the E minor 7 that follows, just take these 2 fingers off. And then back to this A7. Okay. I'll show you the next bit in a minute. It's really cool. You're going to love it. But let's just practice that again. Now, remember my little tips and tricks that I've talked about when we've looked at bar chords before to make it a little bit easier. So I'll come in on close camera again. So when you bar that 4th fret, try and get this index finger as close to the metal fret as possible. So you don't want it back here where you're going to get some buzzing and chucking. If I move that forward, hear how nice and clean those notes are. Try and have at least a little bit of your fingertips showing over the top so you're not like that, because this will create this is using the weakest part of your finger. This uses the strongest part of your finger, which is the middle part, and it also allows you then as well to put these next 2 in a shape. A couple of other things that I think that helps: think of it in parts. If you can't get all 3 fingers down at once, think like I'm going to do a D7 chord. I bet you do that all the time down there. Think I'm going to do a D7 chord shape, and then I'm just going to add the extra note in. Keep that wrist straight. Don't bend up like this or down like this, because that can create pain. Keep it as straight as possible. And then finally, this is something we talked about on the cruise as well. I'm only saying that because it's fresh in my mind. You can use the mechanics of your body as well. So when you're doing a bar chord, if you find it really tough to kind of press with your thumb on the back of the uke, we want a nice bit of daylight here. Can you see that circle of daylight between my thumb and the fretboard? So it's not up here where it's filled in, or down here where it's awkward. I've got that nice kind of little bit of a gap. Well, the other thing that you can do is you can hold the ukulele with your arm this end. If you think about it, if you're holding the ukulele here, you don't have to cuddle it really tight, although I do sometimes because I love my ukuleles. But if you're just holding it here, think about it, and you can practice this. If you pull the ukulele back towards you using this hand here, you're kind of stopping it moving, right? With this arm, it can't move back. And that takes away some of the pressure that's needed from your thumb to make that chord work. So it kind of makes it a little bit easier. And in fact, sometimes if you're quite strong with this arm, you might even find that you don't even have to use the thumb at all. I mean, I would do, just to make sure it's nice and clean, but you can use the mechanics of that uke not being able to move back to help you with your bar chords. So that's something to think about as well. But the other thing is, be patient with yourself. It takes a bit of time to build up that muscle memory, and also just the physical muscle work to make that happen. When I first started playing jazz music on the ukulele, I really thought at one point I would never be able to do it. And I think it was Benny Chong. He's a brilliant artist from Hawaii who does a lot of baritone ukulele. And I always wanted to play like him, but he does everything with bar chords. And I thought, oh, I'll never be able to do that. And I used to get so discouraged. But now I kind of don't think twice about doing bar chords. But it took a lot of practice. It just gets a little bit easier. And then one day you'll have like that, what they call it, Damson moment, where it will come to you and you realise that you can do it. So stick with it, guys. You've got this. If you absolutely struggle with that and you think there's no way in the world I'm going to be able to do that for months and months, don't give up, because there's a couple of little cheats that we can do as well, just to make this bit a little bit easier. So what you could do is just play the notes that are on the C, the E and the A string, which make it a lot better. So for this G sharp diminished seventh at the start, you could put one finger here on the 4th fret of the C string, one finger here on the 5th fret of the A string, and one finger here on the 6th fret of the E string. That way you're getting most of the chord. You're just missing out on one note up here. And that's okay. That's not too bad at all right? We've just got that one note that's missing. Then when we go to the G minor 7, you could just play the bottom 3 strings like this. Okay. So index finger on the 3rd fret of the E string, 2 fingers over here like so. That's really nice, because then you haven't got to worry about the big stretch. It's this finger that makes it hard to stretch this one. So you could do that shape. Then we go to the F sharp minor 7th. You could do this shape. And then finally a G7 shape for the last chord. All right. Now, this is really, really important. I know I'm going into a lot of detail about these chords, but it's super, super important. That's not cheating. All right, I've seen pretty much most of my favourite ukulele players play, and Jake Shibukuro uses a lot of wide chord voicings, only using the bottom 3 strings. It also allows you to play some really sophisticated jazz without having it to be really painful as you start. So you can always come back to the full chords when you're a bit more comfortable, but if you like for now, just do those simplified ones. I'll do both again. So this will be the full version, bar in the 4th fret, turn it into like a D7 shape, and then this one. And then it's like a stretched out diminished 7th shape at 3 and 5. Pull it back 1. And then pull it back and squish everything together for the diminished. Or if you want to do the 3-part version, get that finger on the 4th fret of the E string first. And then one finger here and one finger here. This shape at 3 and 5. Pull it back 1. Pull it back 1 further. Okay. And then the next 2 you'll find, because you've just got a nice gentle E minor 7 and your A7. Okay, really nice, fantastic. I think we've got a question from Shell, or it might be a comment. Let me just see. So Shell's just saying that the symbols, copy and paste to your notes these symbols for half diminished, diminished and major 7. Yeah, that's a really good idea. So to remind yourself which is which, if you put your circle with the line through half diminished, just a circle diminished, and then the triangle for major 7. That's a really nice note to make, just so you can remember. We use these symbols a lot in jazz because jazz music has so many chords that they're so squished together. Sometimes you physically don't have the space to write out the full chord names, because some chords have kind of ridiculously long chord names. Okay, so that's going to be most of the chords for the intro. Then we get the coolest part of the whole song. Have a listen to this. I love this bit. Isn't that cool? It just sounds like jazz, right? Okay. Now what we've got here is it's basically we're going to the D chord because it's the 1 chord. And if you have a look at this line, you know I was talking about 2, 5, 1. 2, 5, 1. And then this next little thing is just like a little motif. We're basically going below a D to a C sharp. Oh no, we're starting with a D6, sorry, barring the whole of the 2nd fret. Take your finger off of C6, up to C sharp 6, and finish on D6. Again, don't sweat the theory too much, but if you're into it, a D6 is just another type of major chord. It's just a normal major chord with the 6th note in D added. That's literally all it is. So here's a normal D. What's the 6th note in the key of D? Let's count. D, E, F sharp, G, A, B. So the 6th note is B. What note we add in when we add this one down here? It's the B. Okay, so a 6th chord is just a major chord with that 6 added. Now timing on this one's quite tricky. We're going to do 2 strums on the D like this. Okay, you can think of that as 1, 2. All right. Then for the next one, we're going to do them twice as quick. We're going to do our D6 and then through like so. So we're going to do 1 D6, 1 C6, that's off, 1 C sharp 6, and then finally we're going to resolve it to D6 at the start of the next measure. So we get this 1, 2, sorry, I'll do that again. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll play that round a few times slowly and then we'll speed up a little bit. Just count 2 at the start. 1. Oh, sorry, I keep doing the wrong chord. 1, 2. 2, 3, 4. And again. 1, 2. 2, 3, 4, and again. And you can keep that going round. Let's see if we can go really fast. Cool. How jazzy is that? Really neat. You could do that on any chord that finishes on a D, on a type of D chord, because it's just different versions of 6 chords, just as a little motif at the end. So that gives us our introduction. I'll put all of that together and show you, and then I'll talk about the technique that I'm using for that. So this shape here, or you could do the 3-finger versions, absolutely fine. G minor 7. Take it back a fret to the diminished. Just leave your last 2 fingers down. And then 2 Ds. Fantastic. Isn't that a cool introduction? Really nice, really super lovely. Now, I'm going to get into comping in a little bit more detail in a moment, but let's just have a look at the way I'm strumming that. So what I like to do on this opening section, which is actually the same as all the B sections, like the chorus part, if you like, of the song, is I like to do what I often call my patented thumb and strum. It sounds really, really nice in jazz music. Now, jazz music is kind of like a really steady, straightforward beat a lot of the time. I know we had crazy drummers. People are like, oh, what was his name from the All Stars? Oh, it's gone now. Sometimes it just goes. But so we've got some really crazy bebop drummers and stuff. But when we play comping style, which means to accompany, we try and keep things as simple as possible. And it makes things sound really, really nice. If I was to do that verse, for instance, and I was to strum it kind of with a normal ukulele strum, it just sounds, it doesn't sound like jazz, right? And that would be really hard to sing over the top of. 9 days, why is it so, it doesn't work right. But if I just keep it simple and on the beat, 1, 2, 3, 4, have a listen. Night and day, you are the one. So it's kind of, it's really nice to keep things really, really simple when we jazz comp. And quite often we just play the down strums on a beat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. There's almost no syncopation there, which is really sweet. And that's a style of comping. Now, what I like to do to make it a little bit more interesting and differentiate it, Secret Euchre, I've seen your question. I'll come back to it in just a second. So what I like to do to make that a little bit more interesting is I like to strum the first beat down with my thumb. Now, a couple of technique things. Notice that my thumb is at about a 45-degree angle to the strings. It's not totally perpendicular, but it's not totally flat like that. Lift it up about 45 degrees. And notice that I'm using the middle part of my thumbnail to strum down. If I use the side of my nail, the danger is I'm going to catch the strings and it won't sound as nice. So the middle part of my thumbnail. That gives a really nice warm tone, particularly when I strum where the body meets the neck. If I do it back here, it would be almost like a banjo-like quality. But up here, it's really sweet. Now, then if I follow that down with my nails, I get a different tone, right? Sweet and slow from the thumb. And then a sharper, kind of harsher tone, but lighter tone from these nails. Isn't that lovely? And so on and so forth. Notice that what I do on the, after the down strum, my thumb as well, I tend to mute the next chord. And what you can do, if you want to have a go at that, is all you're going to do is take the pressure out of your bar chord. You're not going to take your fingers off the strings because that would sound really bad. You're just going to take the pressure away. So it's like a squeeze and then just release. Can you see? You could just about see the pressure coming on and off. It's like squeezing a lemon and then letting go. So we get this. Okay, we get a note ringing out and then a muted one. And you can count it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Whoops, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we've got a nice chord at the end there. Secret Euchre, yeah, I love your I love your avatar, by the way. What a beautiful bird. That's absolutely good. What type of bird's that? We definitely haven't got those in the UK. It's gorgeous. Secret Euchre is just saying they hear it as 1, 2, 3, 4 and not 1, 2, 3 and 4. I think you're right, actually. Yeah, I think it's 3 and 4, 4 and yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. I find this is one of the few patterns because it's slightly syncopated. It's almost got like a little bit of swing in it as you do it. It's really hard to count. I just can't count aloud and do it at the same time. So what you could do is just practice the rhythm da 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 da. 1, 2, da 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 da. 1, 2, da 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 da. And then with the chords, the 2 Ds. 1, 2, da 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 da. Okay, so you'll get that with a bit of practice. But you're dead right. I find it really difficult to count that, to be honest. Just tricky with the syncopation. So let's just put all that together. Now, if you want, you can do a few extra strums after each of the thumb strums, which I like to do just to thicken it up a little bit. So still doing the thumb strum, but I'm just doing some down ups. Or you could do your traditional jazz comp, is absolutely fine. And then we've got this bit, I just use all my nails. Okay, all right, let's give it a go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Really nice, everyone. Let us know how you got on with that. It's a tricky little one, a tricky little part, but really really gorgeous when you get it. So let us know how you got on with that. Karen does syncopated rhythm, the C6 hit twice. Nice. Have a muck about and see what you can get with that tone. It's just like a little slide. The C#6 is like what we often call a backdoor chord. It's like you go lower than the chord you're aiming at, and then you've resolved to it. It's often called a backdoor chord, which is really nice. It's one of the things that I'm going to talk about in 2 weeks' time when we look at Nashville numbers. We're going to have a look at backdoor chords and all sorts of things like that. Now, as we're on strumming, let's keep going and let's do a different strum for our A section. So rather than doing the thumb and then nail strum, I'm going to do this all with my nails. And I'm going to mute every single chord, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. It will sound like this. And that's because I want these lovely kind of verse sections to be really relaxed sounding, and that works beautifully with that. So what you're going to do, you're going to hold down your E minor 7 chord. Now, as you play down, I want you to touch with any one of these fingers all of the strings. I actually find it easier using 2 fingers. You're going to take the tension away out of these 2 fingers and then just allow these 2 fingers to deaden the strings. Practice it really slow like this. See if you can see how it really deadens it as we go. What you've got to do is make sure you don't press down with these, otherwise you'll get this. Hear that worry? But just nice and light, just to touch them. And again, practice really slow and then gradually build up the speed. It doesn't have to go really fast. This is about as fast as it goes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Same thing on A7, but we're going to use, it's easier this one because we've only got 1 finger down. You can use 3 fingers to mute. Doesn't that sound lovely? And then on the D chord, you could use, you've only got to mute this 1 string because these ones, if you relax them, mute the others automatically. Squeeze and release and just add that little finger. Okay. Let's practice that really slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to do that twice as long. And again. think, well, that sounds kind of boring because we're just doing these simple strums. But it's not at all, because what you're doing in comping or accompanying a soloist or a singer is you're allowing them room, and you're also creating a bit of a drum beat. Bum, 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 bum. We want those on the beat strums to be really, really powerful. So we've got this really nice, beautiful but subtle strum. So when I put the lyrics on that, night and... let me just get my key. So with the lyrics, it'll sound like this. Night and day, you are the one, whether near to me or far. So it's really simple but beautiful. The other thing I sometimes do, you might have noticed it at the end of that, is on the final chords, I'll do a couple of extra up strums at the end. I'll show you what I mean. Down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down, up, down, down. Now you don't have to be too specific. It's just an extra little strum wherever it feels right. And as Karen says, referring to something else, but you're right with this too. Remember, if it sounds good, it is good. And that's what I always say as one of my catchphrases. If it feels good and it sounds good, it is good. Fantastic. Okay, let me know if you've got any questions with that, guys. And then what we'll do is we'll have a look at the B section. Guess what? You already know how to play it because it's exactly the same as the intro. But let's do it with the words over the top so you can see how it sounds. I wouldn't, unless you're really confident, I wouldn't worry about singing for now. Bring it in later on. But what you could do is just play along with me as I sing it so you can get a feel for it, okay? There is a full lesson of this on the jazz course as well with some play-alongs if you're interested, guys. So, bar the 4th fret, finger like a D7, but with this one up here. And let's just play the chords along first. 2, 3, 4. 3 and 5. That's the hardest change. Push them together, first 2 frets. E minor 7, A7, and then D. Nice, fantastic. Let's try it with the words. 1, 2, 3, 4. Whether near to me or far. Sorry, let me do that again. 2, 3. Whether near to me or far. It's no matter, darling, where you are. I think of you day and night. Yeah, fantastic. And you can keep strumming after that last chord, or just let it ring is absolutely fine as well. So let's try doing the whole of this section here, the whole of this page. So we've got the introduction, then we've got the verses. Remember, we're just going to keep that really light and on the beat. And then we've got a B section. It's exactly the same as the intro. I'll just sing over the top. And I'll probably go wrong with my singing, but I'll try my best not to. I'll sing along and you can hear how it sounds. Okay? So here we go. Come in with me after 4, 2, 3, 4. Why is it so that this longing for you follows wherever I go? And then that nice B section. In the roaring traffic spoon, in the silence of my lonely room, I think of you day and night. Yeah, cool, right? Isn't that gorgeous? Such a beautiful song, this one. You can see why I love it so much. Really exotic sounding, but in terms of the structure, really nice and kind of simple, which is great. So after that, we've got another verse and another B section. Let's do it. And then I'll teach you the C section, which you'll be glad to know is actually the easiest part of the song. All right, let's just try another verse and another B section, and I'll sing the second verse. Here we go. Night and day, why is it so that this longing for you follows wherever I go? In the roaring traffic spoon, I think of you in my lonely room. I think of you night and day. Yeah, cool, nice. Karen says she sees a beach with palm trees. Well, I guess I do have those in Morocco, but yeah, it's that relaxed feel, isn't it, Karen? I totally get it. It's got a real nice relaxed vibe to it, which is really lovely. So when we go to the C section, something quite unusual happens here, and this is a real jazz musician's trick. It's just something that happens really commonly. We go up a third. Don't know what's happened to my brain today, honestly. We go up a third. We call it tertian movement. If you ever listen to Jerome Kern's All the Things You Are, which is another of my favourite jazz songs, it's really beautiful. I do that on the jazz course as well. If you're interested, that's on the website, mattsteadukulele.com. And Jerome Kern, all the way through All the Things You Are, he has these key changes that go up or down a third. It's one of the most common intervals in music. So what we're doing here is we've got a key change from D to F. It's a really unusual thing to do. So D, E, F, we're going up that tertian movement, 3 notes, okay? Now, this one's really unusual because both of these chords are acting like a 1 chord. It's like the F major 7. It perks up the ears. We don't expect it. It's changing key. But once we hit the D, we're back in the key of D again. It's like the 1 chord. So it's a really kind of fascinating, really unusual C section this. And it's only 2 chords, which is really interesting as well. And the lyrics kind of the melody stays almost on 1 note as well, which again is quite a Middle Eastern thing to do in terms of singing, having that 1 note and then just small chromatic variations. So it makes sense again that he was listening to that call to prayer, I think. So F major 7 is one of my favourite chords in the world. It's really easy peasy lemon squeezy. Now, your eyesight has to be very good with this. Not like me, should have gone to Specsavers. If you look really carefully at that F major 7 chord box, notice there's 2 dots and there's a tiny little 5 next to it. So we're playing that up at the 5th fret. So basically take 2 fingers. I like to use these 2. You could use these 2, which helps when you go to the D actually, and would make more sense. So first 2 fingers. And we're just placing them on the G and C strings at the 5th fret. Isn't that a gorgeous chord? So an F major 7 is just an F chord with an E added. It's just really beautiful. And here's the E. Otherwise, we've still got the F here, the A down here, and the C that make up an F chord. And then we add the E. Beautiful sounding, really rich chord. And we're going to do that for 2 measures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Bring it back to D. we do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Bring it back. Okay. With the lyrics, that sound like this. 1, 2, 3. Night and day, under the hide of me, there's no such a hungry yearning burning inside of me. Okay, really simple and really beautiful. Now, I was mucking about with this earlier and I wasn't going to teach this, and I was playing it. I thought, wow, that sounds really nice. So I'm going to show you how to pick this one. It sounds really beautiful with a super fast pick like this. And it really has that exotic, I'm trying to move so you can see my fingers. And it really has that exotic sound. And it's the easiest thing in the world. All I'm doing, let me move this out of the way so you can see my right hand. All I'm doing is, let's just say on an F major 7th chord, I'm playing from top to bottom, G string, C string, E string, A string. Top to bottom, top to bottom. I like to anchor my little finger on the soundboard. Some people don't. I find it helps me to just keep in position. Notice I've dragged my hand back over the sound hole as well, so I'm not clickety-clacketing on the fretboard there. And what we're going to do, we're just going to practice that super slow. Yeah, Susan, isn't it lovely? We're going to practice it super slow like this. And we're going to do 4 lots of 4 on each one. Think, how does that work with the timing? Well, if we count along with it, it makes sense because we can just add the 4s in. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Or twice as 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Isn't that lovely? And with the lyrics, night and day, under the hide of me, oh, there's such a hungry yearning burning inside of me. Isn't that lovely? Yeah, it's great. So great. Oh, that's lovely. A few of you have said how nice that sounds. And sometimes it's that serendipity, right? I was just mucking about earlier and I thought, oh, that sounds nice. So I'll keep that in. And again, it comes back to what Karen said earlier. If it feels good and it sounds good, it is good. So I'm going to play that over that section. I think it sounds really, really nice. But of course, if you want to, if you find the picking difficult or you don't enjoy it so much, you can just keep a normal strum. Which is really simple. Susan said it's funny that she never really liked jazz but loves playing it on uke and singing it too. That's really interesting, Susan, because I kind of feel exactly the same. So I grew up playing in garage bands, quite heavy kind of rock music. Then I got into indie pop bands, which is kind of like, you know, indie guitars and stuff, but relatively gentle sounding. And I always thought jazz was really, don't listen, jazz fans, I love it now, but I always thought it was a bit pretentious. And all those kind of wrong notes, it always kind of clashed with me. And then I saw this guy, Benny Chong, please look him up if you get a chance, playing jazz on a baritone uke. And it just sounded so beautiful. And there's something about those gorgeous 4-part chords with our 4 strings that just sound just so gorgeous. And I fell in love with it, just like you, Susan. So I kind of, I got into jazz purely from ukulele, which is quite an unusual thing to do, I suppose. But now I love it. I listen to a lot of jazz, and I've even got into like bebop and all the crazy jazz like that. I just find it really fascinating and interesting. But yeah, just jazz just sounds great on the uke. I think the uke was almost made for it, and it makes sense because the first massive wave of popularity in America, in terms of ukulele, coincided with the jazz era in the 20s and 30s, so it makes sense, which is really nice. Rita's just saying, yeah, another option is to go back and forth between strumming and finger picking. Absolutely. Funny enough, that's something, I'm not just trying to bring an advert in for my Beatles lesson, but that's something we're going to do on She's Leaving Home. I worked out that you can perform it really nicely by just going between the two. So sometimes we can do sort of 5 o'clock at the da 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 da. So we're going to vary muting, and then later on we're going to finger pick it as well, and going between the two just sounds really lovely, which I think is fantastic. So yeah, breaking it up, breaking a song up is really good. You've probably heard me say this before as well, but sometimes it drives me mad when people say, what's the strum pattern for a song? And I totally get it. I've done it as well. Like, I'm guilty. I'm not like looking down on people. I've done it myself. But when you think about it, songs sound better when they have all sorts going on. A little bit finger picked, a little bit strummed, bit of a muted strum, then you get busier, you know, thicker. So I like to think about songs as lots of bits rather than just one thing all the way through. And I think it makes it sound really, really lovely like that. There is a place, occasionally if I'm doing, say, like a Brother Is song or something, sometimes there's a place for one strum pattern all the way through and it sounds lovely. But it's nice to mix it up, I think, for sure. Now, believe it or not, folks, we're basically there. That's all of the chords that you need to play the song, because after that C section that we've just done, we go back to another B section, which is the bit where we've got those lovely chromatic descending chords, which is nice. So what we'll do, I'll keep the chords on screen and let's try playing the whole thing through. We'll go really, really nice and slow. Oh yeah, thanks Susan. If anyone would like to, if you could like the video on YouTube, it really helps the algorithms pick me up. So thanks guys. People often ask, because ukulele players are absolutely lovely, beautiful people. People always ask if there's anything they can do to help me with my channel and my teaching and stuff. And I always say, if you're not a member, please join. I'd love to have you as part of the community, and you can access all my courses. But even if you don't want to, or you've already joined, the nicest, best thing you can do for myself or any other teacher that you enjoy, not just myself, any other teacher, is tell people. Just, you know, if you're in a group and other people are learning and you think, oh, they might benefit, just pass it on that you've enjoyed a lesson, and that means the world to me. So thank you guys, and liking videos and stuff. It seems like such a small thing to do, but it's so important for us. But yeah, there we go. Right, what we're going to do then, we're going to try the whole thing. I'm going to come on close cam like this so you can see which chord I'm on. And we'll go through the whole thing really, really slowly. I'll do it below tempo, and then we'll do one a little bit faster at tempo. There will be a slight pause whilst I change page, because I want, in case anyone hasn't printed out the sheets, I want them to be able to see it. So do bear with me if I do a slight pause when I hit, say, this D6 before I go to the next section. But let's give it a go. Remember the things that I've done, so we can do that thumb and strum on the B sections, and then we're going to do a nice muted strum on the verse sections, the A sections, and then if you're up for it, we'll do that picking when we get to that lovely C section. All right, let's give it a go. Let's see how we get on, guys. I'll nudge over a bit. Okay, here we go. So from the start, get that chord ready, because that's the hardest one, isn't it? Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. G minor 7. Drop it back. Back and close up. E minor 7. Night and day, Only you, 'neath the moon, under the sun. B section. Whether near to me or far, it's no matter, darling, where you are. I think of you day and night. Next page. Night and day, you are the one. Only you, 'neath the moon, under the sun. Then another B section. Wherever the roaring traffic's boom. Sorry guys. In the silence of my lonely room, I think of you day and night, night and day, under the height of me. Oh, there's such a hungry yearning burning inside of me, and this torment won't be through till you let me spend my life making love to you day and night, night and day. Yeah. Fantastic. There we go. Really sweet. Well done, guys. Well done. So really a lovely, lovely, lovely thing to do. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll do it one more time. And I'll take the page away for anyone that's following, so you can just see what's happening with both fingers as we do it. So if you haven't got a sheet, just kind of enjoy this and see if you can notice the difference between the A and B sections with my strum. It's quite a subtle thing because I'm adding some thicker strums in, but just see if you can kind of spot the difference and see if you can get that into your own playing as well. No worries, Shonat. Absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. It's all good. Okay, so one last go then, guys, then I'll just take any questions. I'll hang around for a bit just in case there's any questions whatsoever. Okay, so I haven't got to turn the page, so hopefully I can just keep going with this, fingers crossed, if I can remember the chords. Here we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Night and day, you are the one. Only you, 'neath the moon or under the sun. Whether near to me or far, I think of you. Where you are, I think of you. No, oh my gosh, I went wrong. So sorry. Can I try that one more time? I'm so sorry. Just to prove that I'm not making this up, all I've got, hang on. All I've got is the lyrics. So I'm trying to remember the chords. So I didn't do very well there. So let me try it one more time. I'm so sorry, folks. I think what I might have to do, actually, let's go a bit easier on myself. I think I have to bring just one of the sheets up so I can remember. Yeah, I'll put that up. I'll put it small up there so you can still see what I'm doing, but I think I need to just glance over at it. So obviously my memory's not as good. Sorry, guys, one more time. Here we go. So, oh, Gail was just saying how to pick the F major 7 with a low G. Just do exactly the same thing, Gail, from top to bottom. Yours will sound a little bit deeper because you'll have that low G note, but still do it top to bottom. It will still sound really nice because your notes will go from lowest to highest. But yeah, exactly the same thing, Gail. Don't change it at all. All right, let's have another go. Sorry, guys, I'll try and get it right this time. There we go. So we'll go back to the intro and do it again. 2, 3, 4. Night and day, you are the one, only you, neath the moon or under the sun, whether near to me or far, it's no matter, darling. Where you are, I think of you, day and night, night and day. Why is it so that this longing for you follows wherever I go? Traffic spoon, in the silence of my lonely room, I think of you, day and night, night and day, under the hide of me, there's oh such a hungry yearning burning inside of me, and this torment won't be through till you let me spend my life making love to you, day and night, night and day. There we go, that was better. Fantastic. Thanks for bearing with me, guys. It's that classic thing, isn't it? Do you ever do that thing where you try and pat your head and rub your tummy at the same time? That movement, it's almost impossible to do. When my brain's looking one way for the lyrics, if I don't know the chords off by heart, I go wrong. I'm going to turn that into a teachable moment. So if you ever find yourself doing that and you go wrong halfway through the song, and I know I sound like a complete hypocrite now, but it just means you need to keep practicing. So I wouldn't be at a stage where I could perform this live. If I had a festival or something, I would need to practice this a heck of a lot more, because really I want to get to a point where I don't have to look at those chords and I can just do it from memory. It makes me feel more comfortable because I'm not having to do two things at once. I'm not having to look like this, you know. And even if the chords were on my lyric sheet, then I would just spend all the time staring at the lyric sheet. And, you know, we've all been to see bands, haven't we, where everyone's just like staring at their lyric sheet, and it's a shame, really. So I would take my time to learn that. And I realised as I was playing it, I know I made a mistake, but it's relatively formulaic, and it's one of the things that I love about jazz music. They have all these sophisticated chords, but in terms of the structure, they tend to be quite formulaic. So here we've got that descending part, B, then the A section, which is easy, descending part B, A section, which is easy. The C section is 2 chords, so that's easy to remember. So as long as you can remember, all the chords within one section, make sure you practice it well, you'll be absolutely fine. So yeah, the B section is both the intro and the outro, Laura. Yeah, so it's we would call this A B C B. So it's quite, like I say, quite an unusual format. Normally we'd have 32 bars, so we'd have one less section than that. But Cole Porter used to like mucking about. I love Cole Porter's writing. I love how cheeky it is, because this is like such a a melancholic song in places, isn't it? It's, you know, it's all about wanting to be with you and yearning and stuff. But he can't resist. This is the guy who wrote many a cheeky sexual innuendo, but he can't resist that lovely. And this torment won't be through until you let me spend my life making love to you day and night, night and day. Now that is smooth, you have to say. So even I think I will be wooed by Cole Porter with that. Just brilliant songwriter and lyricist. So really, really great. But the other thing that I loved about Cole Porter, he did work with lyricists, but a lot of the stuff he did all by himself. Whereas when you think about a lot of the great writers like Jerome Kern, they would work with people like Johnny Mercer. So it's really cool that he did a lot of this stuff all himself. I think it's absolutely fantastic and really inspirational songwriter for sure. But I hope you enjoyed that. I'll just stick around for a bit longer. Any questions at all with any of this, just give me a shout. If you enjoyed it and you do want to get more into it, if you go to my website mattsteadukulele.com, click on the Learn tab, and then you'll see there's one that says Jazz Ukulele. And that's a whole, I think it's a 25-part course. A lot of the lessons are 1 to 2 hours, so they're really involved. And I go through all sorts of jazz songs like this. So we go from early ragtime, then we go into the swing era, and there's even a bit of kind of bebop stuff in there, which you can check out as well. And as well as the strum stuff, we've got some chord melody versions of the songs. I do a couple of Duke Ellington pieces and some Jerome Kern and stuff like that. So if you enjoy this jazz stuff, do check that out. I do have a jazz standards book available as well on my website, but it's only available as a PDF at the moment. I need to get it back into print at some point. Basically the only reason it's not back in print, unlike my fingerstyle one, is that I've lost the original file. It was on a hard drive, so I've got a hard copy of the book, but I don't actually have the physical the full kind of printed ebook, if you like, that I can do it from. So yeah, anyway, I'm rambling on it. Sorry, but if anyone's interested in that, let me know. And let me just remind you of a couple of things. Hoping to get this finished tomorrow. If not, I hope it should be ready by the end of the week at the latest. We're going to have a lovely version of She's Leaving Home by the Beatles, which I'm really excited about. So that's going to involve muted strums as well, and then some picked parts as well, which should sound really, really lovely. I might be able to do a bit of that for you in a sec. And then in 2 weeks' time, we're going to have this very special Nashville Numbers workshop. So this is for anyone that's interested in that or that does my can a cappella. And I often get asked to go into a bit more detail how it all works, the Nashville numbers, and how chords have personalities, basically. And I'm going to go into like epic amount of detail with this. As I say, there's a 24-page booklet to go with it that I've been working on. So I'll go over that in a lot of detail. If any of my members are here, gold or silver members on the website, if you go to the tabs and resources section, the booklet's already there, so you can have a read through as well. You might find that kind of quite nice for learning for can a cappella. So, thanks guys, you guys are so lovely. Thank you. Hope you guys are all doing well. Let me just see if I can quickly find. I'll see if I've got it on my iPad. The She's Leaving Home sheets, because I could kind of play it with you how it goes. Let's see if I can remember it. So yeah, I think here it is. So yay! So this is gonna be for my, I'll bring it and put it in one corner. This is gonna be for my Beatles tune. I won't play the whole thing probably, but just so you can see. It's kind of similar to what we're doing with this jazz one in that we got these little sections, so muted chords and then strums. So we got this. Let me just. Yeah. Okay. So we've got. Wednesday morning at 5 o'clock as the day begins, silently closing her bedroom door, leaving a note that she hoped would say more. She goes downstairs to the kitchen, clutching her handkerchief, quietly turning the back door key. Stepping outside, she is free. We gave her most of our lives, is leaving, sacrifice most of our lives. Oh, we gave her everything, money, good. She's leaving home after living alone for so many years. I'll keep going, I've got a flip page. Father snores as his wife gets into her dressing gown. Notice the difference between the strums. Picks up the letter that's lying there. Standing alone at the top of the stairs, she breaks down, cries to her husband, Daddy, our baby's gone. Why would she treat us so thoughtlessly? How could she do this to me? We never fought for ourselves, is leaving, never a thought for ourselves. Home, we struggled hard all our lives to get. She's leaving home after living alone for so many years. Page turn. Friday morning at 9 o'clock, she is far away, waiting to keep the appointment she's made, meeting a man from the motor trade. What did we do that was wrong? Is having, we didn't know it was wrong. Fun is the one thing that money can. Something inside that was always denied for so many years. She's leaving home. Bye, bye. There you go. So I'm going to show you all about the kind of muted strums, rolled strums, and then the finger picking. And I think it's just a nice way to kind of break down a song into different parts, which is really, really lovely. Yeah, I know, it's amazing, Charlene. Yeah, I was reading about it. I've got this book that I've read a couple of times, called Revolution in the Head. It's quite controversial because he's quite negative about a lot of the songs, and sometimes it's like my favourite songs as well. So I get a bit annoyed by it. But it gives you a history of basically every song. In fact, yeah, literally every song the Beatles ever recorded. And yeah, it talks about the fact, so Paul McCartney was reading the Daily Mail, and on the front cover there was this story about a girl called Melanie Coe. Some of you guys might have heard this story, and she ran away from home. And she was found at her boyfriend's 10 days later, and it's quite a sad story. She was pregnant and she got an abortion, so it's a really sad story. But Paul McCartney, apparently that was the inspiration behind it. But Paul said his kind of lyrics were fiction, so it took like the idea of that and then created his and then created his own fictional account of it. But Melanie Coe apparently did say it was quite accurate, which is kind of interesting. So yeah, it just captures that essence, doesn't it, of that generational struggle at that time, I guess. So yeah, Oh, Ken's working his way through it. Oh, I love it. Fantastic. Such a cool book, isn't it? Such a cool book. I absolutely love it. I could just devour it. I remember I read this the first time when I was living in Devon, and I used to go and sit on the beach, and I promised myself I was just going to read about one album, and I'd end up reading about 3 albums, and I go home and I'd be head to toe just completely sunburned, even though I was wearing sun lotion because I couldn't stop reading it. So yeah, it's absolutely a brilliant one. Say hi to Ken for us, Charlene, and I hope you're keeping well as well. So you guys take care. Okay, guys, so I'll see you perhaps on Monday for the next Canacapilla. If anyone's coming to that, that's going to be my one to say thank you to you guys. It's all going to be songs about thanks. And then don't forget, 2 weeks' time, we've got our next live lesson on Nashville numbers. And you've heard it now. By the end of this week, I'll have the new Beatles lesson up as well. There's another 8 lessons up there already if you're interested in checking out that course. If anyone was inspired by all the pictures from the cruise and whatnot, do come along if you can make it to the next one. We're going to do it in 2026. Donna, who runs it, gets a different tutor every 2 years, so I'm doing 2 in a row, but this will be my last one. So if you're thinking about it, do it if you can, because it's probably going to be the last one that I do, unless I can persuade Donna or try to work out a way of doing it every year, because I loved it so much, but we'll see. And take care, everyone, and happy uking. Practice. Get in touch if you've got any questions whatsoever, and I will see you very soon. Much love, folks. Take care. Bye.